Thank you. And now to the race for the White House in 2012. The new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows a surprising surge for one potential Republican candidate, and it is a name that you will recognize. Donald Trump is in a tie for second with Mike Huckabee among likely voters in a Republican primary. Mitt Romney leads. But among Republicans who consider themselves Tea Party supporters, Trump is the #1 choice. On Wednesday, we sat down with him for an exclusive interview, and I began by asking Trump about his potential run.
Well, this is very serious. I mean, I always take things seriously, but I've never taken it seriously like this. This is a very serious time in my life. I hate what's happening to the country. I wish I didn't have to do it. I wish this country was running so great, and I wish Obama was the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln, and I wish this was the greatest place in the world. What we're doing is unbelievable. If you look at what's going on, where our jobs are disappearing to foreign countries, where the oil, you're going to be paying $7 or $8 a gallon for your oil very soon.
But do you blame this all on Barack Obama?
Well, I blame a lot of it. It's been a terrible presidency. Look at Libya. We go in, we don't want to remove Gaddafi, but we're going to go fight, and we're going to this, and now nobody knows what's happening, and it looks like Gaddafi is going to beat the United States.
Would you as president say, let's get more aggressive, let's put boots on the ground if we have to?
I'm only interested in Libya if we keep the oil. If we don't keep the oil, I'm not interested. I don't know who the rebels are. You know, they make the rebels like it's some romantic, beautiful novel, the rebels. I hear the rebels are Al-Qaeda. I hear they're Iran-backed and Iran-influenced. Where are they getting those weapons before we came along? From Iran. Gaddafi's going to go around saying he won the war against his country. When you ask me what I do, I'm only interested in Libya if we get the oil.
All right, so everybody wonders what the Obama doctrine is, asking a question.
He doesn't have a doctrine.
Asking a question.
He doesn't have a doctrine. He doesn't have a doctrine.
Would you? What's your doctrine? What would your doctrine be?
About what? With respect to what?
With foreign affairs.
Foreign affairs is we take care of ourselves first, okay? We don't build schools in Afghanistan. We go to Afghanistan, we build a road, we build a school. 2 days later, they blow up the road, they blow up the school, we start building the road and the school again. In the meantime, we can't build schools in Alabama, in New Orleans, in Texas, in New York, my place where we're always fighting to try and get school money. We're spending trillions and trillions of dollars. My thing and my doctrine would be build, build, build.
Some positive news for you, this new poll, new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll that shows you surging to second place among potential GOP candidates for 2012. Why do you think that you are connecting with voters?
I think that I connect with people because I happen to be smart. I happen to have a lot of common sense. I happen to know what I'm doing. I built a great company. And by the way, if I run, I look so forward to filing a declaration because it's a great company. I built a great company, and I'll make that decision sometime prior to June.
What are you waiting for?
What are you
waiting for?
Well, I hate to say it. I have the #1 show on NBC.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good, fellas.
Is that a correct statement? I mean, The Apprentice is doing great, The Celebrity Apprentice. And I am not allowed to run.
What does that have to do with
Well, it has a lot to do. It sounds so trivial, and I hate to even bring it up, but I'm not allowed to run during the show. No, you're not allowed to have a show on and be a declared candidate.
Take your pizza pie.
It's a great show, and it's got phenomenal ratings. And until that show is over, I can't declare, because otherwise NBC would have to take the show off the air. And I think that would be very unfair to NBC.
Recently, you've spent a lot of time talking about President Obama's birth certificate, or lack thereof. You don't seem convinced.
Donald, stay on the China issue, stay on the Saudi Arabia issue, stay on the India taking our jobs, and the Mexico, which is NAFTA, which cleaned out New England.
Issue.
Get off the birth certificate issue.
Why don't you?
Because you know what? 3 weeks ago when I started, I thought he was probably born in this country, and now I really have a much bigger doubt than I did before.
But based on what?
And you know what? His grandmother in Kenya said he was born in Kenya, and she was there and witnessed the birth, okay? He doesn't have a birth certificate, or he hasn't shown it. He has what's called a certificate of live birth. That is something that's easy to get. When you want a birth certificate, it's very hard to get.
But it's considered the equivalent. And in the
it's not the equivalent.
In the state of Hawaii, they said they have
Meredith,
seen this document. It is evidence that he was born in the United States. That's good enough for them. Scholars have looked at it.
A birth certificate is not even close. A certificate of live birth is not even signed by anybody. I saw his. I read it very carefully. Doesn't have a serial number, doesn't have a signature. There's not even a signature.
Do you believe he's lying?
I'm starting to think that he was not born here.
Do you believe he's lying, Donald? Come on, just
Meredith,
answer.
he spent $2 million in legal fees trying to get away from this issue. And if he weren't lying, why wouldn't he just solve it? And I wish he would, because if he doesn't, it's one of the greatest scams in the history of politics and in the history, period. You are not allowed to be a president if you're not born in this country. He may not have been born in this country. And I'll tell you what, 3 weeks ago, I thought he was born in this country. Right now, I have some real doubts. I have people that actually have been studying it, and they cannot believe what they're finding.
You have people now down
Absolutely.
there searching, I mean, in Hawaii?
Absolutely, and they cannot believe what they're finding. I would like to have him show his birth certificate. And can I be honest with you? I hope he can. Because if he can't, and if he wasn't born in this country, which is a real possibility, I'm not saying it happened, I'm saying it's a real possibility, much greater than I thought 2 or 3 weeks ago, then he has pulled one of the great cons in the history of politics. And beyond politics.
Do you consider yourself a Tea Partier?
I think so. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of some of the ideas they put forth. And the big idea is they want to stop this ridiculous, absolutely killer of spending that's going on. What's going on in this country, the way we're spending money like drunken sailors, we are just absolutely going, and ultimately we're going to destroy our own freedom.
But they want to stop it even at the cost of shutting down the government.
Well,
that's a possibility. Are you in favor of that?
Excuse me. It's not really shutting down the government. It's cutting costs. The kind of money that you're talking about is peanuts. And I think the Tea Party has done an amazing service for this country, because people now, even very liberal Democrats, are starting to think for the first time, well, maybe we can't just keep giving everything away.
But if
so I think they performed a great service.
So if there were a partial shutdown of the government come Friday, that would be okay with you?
In my opinion, I hear the Democrats are going to be blamed and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, and it's not going to be a horrible shutdown, because, as you know, things will sort of keep going.
Well, it's a partial shutdown, right?
If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the President of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together. Right. I'm a deal man. I made hundreds and hundreds of deals and transactions. He never did deals before. How can you expect a man that's not a deal man, that never did a deal, other than, frankly, becoming President of the United States? He never did a deal. How's he going to corral all these people?
So how would you do it now? Now, you're in the Oval Office right now.
I would get everybody together, and we'd have a budget, and
they've all gotten together.
Well, that's because they don't have the right leader. You don't have the right leader. This is the President of the United States has to get this done. And I think he probably will. Now, I don't say he, but I think he and the group probably will get it done. But it's pretty sad, because the whole world is looking at us and laughing at us.
You've criticized Obama quite a bit in this interview and in the past. What do you think he has done well?
Get elected. I think he did a great job when he ran for office.
That's it?
Well, I think Obamacare is a total disaster. I think the thing that he did best of all, is get elected. He got elected. He ran an unbelievable campaign. I want him to do well. If I had my choice of having Obama do great as a president and do a really great job for this country and not running, as opposed to running and doing, I'd prefer that he did a great job. I love this country, but this country is going to hell. I would run a great, great country. This country will be great again. It is not great right now. We have huge deficits. We have huge unemployment. We have a huge problem. And we're not respected. We're not respected in the world. The world laughs at us. They won't be laughing if I'm president.
Back now at 8:35 with more of our exclusive interview with Donald Trump. During our conversation, we talked about his possible run for the presidency, and I asked him if he thinks Americans would take him seriously as a candidate.
My father would have never believed I turned out to be a big television star, right? He would have never believed. I was always a good builder.
But there are people who'd look at that and go they'd say, the guy, he has a reality show. I mean, is this the kind of person that's presidential?
Not a reality show, a huge, successful reality show.
Still a reality show. Okay, these are people who would say, they look at Donald Trump, they think, well, they don't think George Washington, for example. They think this is the guy who has the reality show, says you're fired every week. This is the guy who had the infamous cat fight with Rosie O'Donnell, sort of a self-promoting.
That she started and that I finished.
Pompous.
By the way, she started and I finished. And she wished she didn't start it, believe me.
What makes you presidential?
I've made a tremendous success. I've put hundreds of thousands of people to work. I have built a great company, which, if and when I file, you will see my numbers are phenomenal. Great cash, great company.
People wonder about your
numbers, great values. Actually. Well, they're going to see, because if I file, and one of the reasons I frankly like to file, is I wouldn't mind showing people it's a great company, tremendous cash, very little debt, very big values, tremendous values. I've built a great company. And
does that translate into building a great country?
I think so. Look, I am different than a lot of people. One of the things I do is I love this country. I hate what's happening to this country. This country is in serious, serious trouble. We're the whipping post for nations all over the world.
Is your goal to be president?
Well, I would rather not be in a position where I wish we had you, myself, everybody, somebody who was great. And I don't think he ever will be great. And by the way, when he was first elected, I said, I hope he's going to be the greatest president we've ever had. I know this. I will be better than anybody. I will do the best job. If I decide to run, I will do the best job. I will be best for this country. And you may say, oh, gee, that doesn't sound like George Washington. Well, guess what? Before George Washington ran, he didn't sound like George Washington either. I will be and do a great job if I run and if I win.